Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zentropy Aviation, and I have another video for you tonight. We are going to be looking at a brand new 1.7 update to the Red Wing Super Constellation. The Lockheed Super Constellation is an iconic bird, and this particular aircraft, when it was originally released late last year, has gathered a fair amount of criticism, myself being one of the critics on the official Microsoft Flight Simulator forums, because it was priced at $50, and this compares to PMDG's excellent DC-6. It was very much a work in progress. The developers did promise that they are going to keep improving it and implementing new features, but when I bought it for $50, initially, to be honest with you, I was extremely disappointed with it. Not only were the textures rough around the edges, the sounds were not really up to par, but also a lot of the features, such as the artificial intelligence, the flight engineer, the flight crew, were not implemented, were not complete. The failures were not implemented yet, so it was very bare bones aircraft. And let's face it, the Super Constellation is not meant to be flown solo, so it was completely taken away from the experience of not being able to utilize the artificial flight engineer and not being able to get any assistance. It's a lot of workload on that flight deck without without those elements. So it wasn't a particularly fun thing to fly. But now, after looking at this 1.7 update that came out 2 days ago, I am very much impressed with how far the team has come with improving this aircraft and actually making it worth the purchase price, in my opinion. It's now, in my eyes, fairly comparable to what the DC-6 offers. It might not be quite as pretty still, but it does have some cool stuff that even the DC-6 does not offer. And I'm actually very happy to have this aircraft in my hangar now. I'm going to show you a few things. The scope of this video is going to be focusing on the artificial intelligence part of the package, the virtual flight crew, and the help they are able to provide in flying this beast. So that's going to be the focus. I am not going to be focusing on things like starting the aircraft from cold and dark, because that's just not the scope of this video. I'm also not going to be utilizing the Sperry Gyropilot in this video, because it's a very short flight. We're going to be flying from St. Thomas to San Juan, Puerto Rico. So it's just about a 50 nautical mile flight, just to kind of give you an idea of what the phases of flight are on this aircraft and how the artificial intelligence package on the aircraft deals with all of these procedures. So we're going to get started. Put this on cold start status, and as you're flipping through the board, we can go ahead and refill the fluids on the aircraft and select this to be a national flight. Here we go, so that we can have an appropriate load going here. All of these elements, like the covers and services, you can go ahead and remove that, although the flight crew will remove those for you. But we're going to go ahead and get started with as you see, there are some fire failures implemented here. The rest of it is very much work in progress still. But we're going to hire a flight engineer. We now also have a capability of either the pilot or co-pilot managing the takeoff and landing for you, but that's not really any fun to me, because, well, what are you going to do then? So I'm just going to focus on the flight engineer providing assistance. That should be plenty to enable me to actually fly the aircraft and not have to worry about all of these settings that need to happen all the way back here, as I am not a big fan of jumping between all of these stations and trying to do all of these things at once. So I'm going to leave that in the hands of the very capable AI. Let's go ahead and get this started without further ado. Before starting checklist.
Checklist before starting engines. Remove before flight.
Checked.
Battery.
On.
Dome light.
On and what?
Nav lights.
On.
Radio and instrument switches.
On.
COM1 and COM2 panels.
On. And OK.
Ground power.
Connected.
All services.
Checked. Removed.
Ground power.
On.
Parking brake. Check and set. Aileron and rudder boosters. On. Elevator booster. On. Ordnance lights. On. Cabin lights. On. Stairs. On. Main door.
Open.
Dump valves. Checked. Emergency cutoff levers. On. Fuel tank selectors.
1, 2, 3, 4. On.
Coal flaps.
1, 2, 3, 4. Open.
Carburetor air.
1, 2, 3, 4. Set to cold.
Oil cooler flaps.
1, 2, 3, 4. Open.
Cross weight and center of gravity.
Weights and balances checked and confirmed.
Prepare for boarding.
Alright, as you see, this is a pretty extensive checklist that they just went through. So we're going to go ahead and facilitate boarding, and now that the passengers have been loaded onto the aircraft, we're going to go ahead and run the next checklist, which is end boarding.
End of boarding. Resume before start of checklist.
Fire warning system. 1. 2. 3. 4. 'Close all doors.
Checked.
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 Stairs.
Checked. Removed.
Chokes. Check. Checklist before starting engines complete.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and crack the windows open so that we can hear these radios come to life. We're going to do the start engines checklist now, and I'm going to hop on the external view so that you can see the pretty cool smoke effects that these guys have going on the Super Connie. So check this out.
Checklist starting engines. Position lights.
On.
Starter engine 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ignition engine 3. 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Ignition engine 1. Generator 1. On. Checklist starting engines completed.
So I feel like these guys have done a fairly good job improving not only the textures and the appearance of the aircraft is much better than it was at initial release, but also the sounds and the effects that they've incorporated are pretty impressive. Let's go ahead and continue with the warm-up checklist.
Checklist during warm-up. Height of covers and gear pins.
All on board.
Ground power.
Off.
Battery and generators.
Checked.
Engine instruments.
Checked.
Autopilot gyro.
Engaged and released.
Radios. Set. Checklist warm-up completed.
Alright, we are ready for pushback that we're going to use. Realistically, Super Connie doesn't really do pushback, and that's accomplished via reverse. But for the sake of brevity, we will use pushback. Okay. So one thing that we want to do is run the taxiing checklist and complete it before actual taxiing, because watch what happens here.
Checklist taxiing. Taxi lights.
On and extended.
Clock and altimeters. Set.
And set.
Brake selector lever.
Set.
All turn indicators.
Checked.
Checked. Proper massing.
Checked.
Checklist taxiing completed.
This is exactly what you do not want happening as you're taxiing, is these guys testing your reverse. So I'm going to go ahead and taxi now. The ground handling of the Super Connie is fairly decent. I find it very reasonable to get around in. And we're going to go ahead and head out to runway 28 for departure. In the meantime, we can run a before takeoff checklist.
Checklist takeoff. Rev up ignition.
1 completed. 2 completed. 3 completed. 4 completed.
Run up filtering.
1 completed. 2 completed. 3 completed. 4 completed.
Door and windows. Closed. Closed.
Closed.
Trim tabs.
Checked.
Flaps 60%. Wing flaps test. Checked. Auxiliary control boosters. On. Auto feather.
Armed for takeoff.
Flaps 60%. Set. Landing lights. On. Mixtures.
Auto reach.
Reacher air.
Cold.
Air conditioning.
Panel set.
Fuel pumps.
1, 2, 3, 4, high.
Oil cooler flaps.
Set.
Checklist before takeoff completed.
So the curious part is they actually closed this door right prior to takeoff. I find that to be a little bit odd that you're taxiing with the door open, but perhaps those were the procedures on the Super Connie. I'm not sure. We're going to go ahead and run the takeoff clearance checklist.
Checklist takeoff clearance. Cold flaps.
Set to 30%.
Controls.
Free. No-go speed is 108 knots. Runway is dry.
Checklist takeoff completed.
Excellent. And now we are going to set max power
Max power.
Roger.
and get the show
Max
rolling.
power. Power set.
No-go speed.
Rotation.
Veto power.
Roger. Meter power. set.
Climb checklist. Landing gear lever. Up, roll clear, flaps up, wing flaps. Up. Gear is up. Steering control boosters. Off, nose light, flaps up. Taxi light.
Retracted and off.
Fuel pumps.
1, 2, 3, 4. No.
Oil cooler flaps.
Set.
Auto filtering.
On.
Coal flaps.
Set.
Ordnance lights.
Off.
Climb checklist completed.
Roger.
And we are off. Going to go ahead and continue our climb. I have trimmed the aircraft up a little bit, and it takes a little bit of finessing to get it to a good climb rate, but once it's there, the aircraft is fairly stable. We are heading towards San Juan, Puerto Rico. Let's take a look at the aircraft from the external angle. See what it looks like. It's a good looking bird. And so now we have our CDI that we are following to San Juan. Going to climb to 4,000 feet and cruise at that altitude to level off there. So I'm starting to trim it back down. I'm gonna set it to cruise power now.
Cruise power, please.
Roger. Cruise power.
Go. We are well on our way. Because it's such a short distance, I am not utilizing the gyro pilot here, but once the aircraft is stable and trimmed, it's very easy to hand fly it. I you know, for short flights like this, I don't really see the need for it. Of course, if you are doing a longer trip, then it would be appropriate to use the gyro pilot, but not in this case. Also, I don't really want to clutter this video with too much information because I feel like there's plenty here already. We are just going to line up. That course. So our DME is indicating we are 35 nautical miles away from San Juan, which means in order for us to slow down and descend, we are going to initiate that fairly soon. But before we do, let's go ahead and run our pre-descent checklist. And to give you a heads up on our plan, we're going to be approaching San Juan from the other side. So we're going to need to fly past the airport, and it's going to be ILS approach into runway 10. So we are going to tune that once we are past the airport and initiate our approach that way. Hopefully that will give you a chance to observe, to fly an ILS approach here. And even though I don't have a lot of experience flying this aircraft, and I definitely do need a lot of practice, I'm going to try to do the descent by the book and manage these radials properly so that we're not straining them and abusing them. So let's go ahead and do our before descent checklist.
Before descent checklist. Wat pilot servo disconnect geleverd. Board slides.
Set.
Altimeter set.
Set.
Engine superchargers. Low. Fuel pumps.
1, 2, 3, 4, high.
Fuel tank selector.
1, 2 alpha, 3 alpha, 4, on and confirmed.
Tank 5 and fuel course rate levels.
Closed.
Cabin pressure.
Cabin pressure confirmed. Full landing.
Landing weight.
Landing weight checked.
Before descent checklist completed.
Alright, and we're going to set descent power now.
Power, please.
Roger.
And you see the main island of Puerto Rico coming into view on our left-hand side. We have begun our descent. to be a little bit easier to manage the landing. You can see our VOR course indicator is responding with what is happening. Times like these, I really wish we had active sky so that I could see up-to-date information on weather, because I don't really trust what comes from that ATC menu. This would help me determine an optimal runway. So we are approaching the San Juan VOR right now. The course indicator is starting to drift a little bit, which is fine. I expect it to. Before we get bogged down with further procedures, let's go ahead and dial in frequency for runway that we're landing at. We are going to head out just past this bay. Over central San Juan and make a turn onto our base leg. See out our window, that is our runway. localizer signal. And glide slope, as you see by the two yellow indicators that lit up. Beautiful downtown San Juan on the left side here. And over this bay we're going to begin turning to our base leg. You have the other airport right out left window. So as soon as we pass this runway, we're going to start turning for our base leg and begin our final descent and approach into TJSJ. You can see the glide slope indicators moving past the central position now. So we are going to be below the glide slope at this point, which is what we're looking for. And now we just need to line up with the localizer. As soon as we are on final, we're going to begin our landing checklist and managing our approach speed from there. So here we go. Begin the before landing checklist.
Landing checklist. The ice boost off. Mixtures.
Auto reach.
Fuel pumps.
1, 2, 3, 4, high.
Carburetor air.
Cold.
Steering control boosters. On. Manifold.
Set.
RPM.
Set.
Brakes.
Set.
Landing checklist completed. Prepare for landing.
Power set. Roger.
Note that they do not deploy landing gear for you, so we're doing that ourselves. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We are locked on our glide slope, and now we're just lining up with the localizer. going to start managing flaps.
Flaps 80% set. Flaps 100%. 500 feet. 400.
And we are
300. 200.
Let's go ahead and cut the power down.
100. 50. 30. 20. Speed it down.
And we are down.
After landing checklist.
Running after landing
Show
checklist.
flaps.
Set.
All cooler flaps.
Set to 30%.
Fuel pumps.
1, 2, 3, 4, on.
Master RP control.
Set.
Auxiliary control boosters. Off. Wing flaps. Roll air flaps up. After landing checklist completed. Flaps up.
Alright. Welcome to San Juan. Thank you for flying with me. Before we finish this, we're going to run the parking checklist and shut the aircraft down. Of course, if you have enjoyed this video, would like to see more content like this, product reviews of various updates that the developers are providing us with in terms of further development of their aircraft, various tutorials on how to execute specific procedures on specific aircraft, things like that. Anything that I can help with. If you like getting this kind of content, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and please do provide feedback. What would you like to see in the comments? Would you like this? Are there things about this that you wish were different? Tell me how I can make this channel better in the future. Of course, as I'm growing the channel and we're going to be incorporating a lot of new stuff, things are going to get a little bit prettier, a little bit shinier, as I have just started doing this yesterday, but I feel we are well on our way. So here is the final parking checklist, and thank you so much for watching. Great
On
night.
parking checklist. Brake selector level. Emerge. Hold leash. Engine 1 ignition off. Engine 4 ignition off. Engine 2 ignition off. Engine 3 ignition off. Chokes on. Ordnance lights on. Stairs checked. Doors
Open.
Pins on. Onboarding checklist completed.
Thank you for watching once again.